Hey everybody, I wanted to go over a coding challenge that a lot of college students have been requesting. So definitely try it on your own first, and if you want to just look for a different kind of solution, I'll go into that. And a lot of my classes have been wanting more practice when it comes to the while loop, so I'm going to be using the while loop during this. So what I want to do is I want to create a game where the program produces a random number between 1 and 100. I want to allow the user to guess a number and prompt the user if their guess was too high or too low until they guess the correct number. So it's just a guess the number game. So it wants us to use a random number. You can hard code a winning number that the user has to guess, but you as the user don't even want to know what that number is. So I'm going to import random. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the random library, check out my video by clicking on this card above. Okay, so I'll import that and I'll just make a variable and I'll just say the winning answer. And I'm going to use random library and I'll use the rand int function, which you can see in the autocomplete requires two numbers, so this will be a range. So I want it to go between 1 and 100, but remember there's a 1 off when it comes to indexing, so we want to do 101, and that will give me 1 through 100. Okay, so just to make sure that that's working, so winning answer, let's just print that. Make sure we're getting random answers between 1 and 100. Okay, so that's working really nicely. Perfect. So now I want to create a function, and I'll do that by defining a function, and I'll just call it guess the number or something like that. And I'll give it whatever the winning answer was. So it should have that information now. Now I'm going to print it, winning answer, and now I need to call it. So guess number, and I want to send it winning answer. Now let's see if it will print inside of my function. Cool. So that's working nicely. So now we have access to our guess number function. Now I want to allow the user to guess what that number is. So I'm just going to say the user's guess, and I'll do the input function. And I'll say guess a number between 1 and 100. And I'll do a new line so it looks a little nicer. Okay, and then I want to do if that. Maybe try again. You guessed too high. Okay, and then I'll do elif the user's guess was lower than winning answer. Then print, try again, you guessed too low. Okay, so it's either going to be either of those, or if they actually get the answer. So let's say that the winning answer is 19 and they guess 19, then I'll just say else, print, I'll use string interpolation because I like it. You got it. The answer was whatever it was, winning answer. Okay, perfect. So let's test that so far. So pick a number. I'll just say 50. Okay, and it says that it's not supporting when we're trying to take a string versus an integer. And that's true because this is a string when the user types that in. So what we need to do is we need to cast this into an integer. Okay, so now we'll test it again. And I'll say 50. You guessed too high. And then it just goes blank after that. So we want to loop through this. So I'm just going to set a boolean. So let's say that they guessed the wrong answer. So I'll just say lose is equal to true. And I'll use that for my condition for my while loop. While lose is double equals to true, then I need to make sure I indent this to make it a parent-child relationship with the actual loop. Okay, so while lose is true, then I want you to run this code. But once they run into this else statement and they actually guess that answer, then I want you to make, we can just make lose equal to false, and we can see if that works. So I'll run that. So guess a number. So I'll say 50. You guessed too high. Cool. So now I'll say 25. You guessed too high. So I'll say 12. You guessed too low. So let's try 15. You got it. The answer was 15. And so that seems to be working really nicely. So you're going to want to test this while you're programming it, of course, but it can be difficult to have to test to try to guess what the number is if it's 1 through 100. So a quick little trick you can do to test this quickly every time is by cutting the numbers in half. And here, I'll show you how to do that. If you're looking through, let's say, like a dictionary, okay, and you typically want to check for that word and definition halfway through the book. That's why I did 50. And if you open that book halfway through, you can see whether or what part of the alphabet you're in. So you know whether to go left or go right on the pages. And so if I was too low, then I would guess something like 75. But it said I was too high, so I went to half of that. And it said I was still too high, so I cut it in half again to 12. And it said I was too low, so I guessed somewhere in between 25 and 12, and I just did 15 and got it pretty quickly. So that's a good way to do it in Python. I've done this in a few different languages, such as C#, and it did seem like it was a little bit more complex, but this was a really good solution. So if you have any questions or have any requests, please let me know in the comments down below. If you really like these videos, please go ahead and like and subscribe to this so that you'll get a notification every time I upload a new video. I will be doing other languages as well, not just Python. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next time.